this episode of the Talk Shop, we'll be looking at the death of political leadership in Nigeria. Not just political leadership, also leadership in the family and society. But we are majorly focusing on the political leadership that has refused Nigeria to grow. I am Victor Tehemba, and this is still the Talk Shop. Now, talking about political leadership and getting the kind of leaders that Nigeria need, I have two elegant and two successful women in their right who are activists and advocates of good governance and good leadership in Nigeria. All over the world, it seems as if Nigeria is building a reputation of bringing up bad leadership, and we will look at that and what is the next step to go. And talking about the two elegant women I have in the studio with me today on the Talk Shop, by my right is the respected Aisha Yesufu. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
To Talk Shop.
Thank you.
All right. And next to her is Apostle Obii Pax-Harry. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Apostle Obii Pax-Harry heads the Nehemiah Christian Center. She also has a school of good governance and politics. That's to tell you how much these ladies are interested in having the very kind of leaders that we want in this country. And the conversation is going to continue after this little break. Thank you for still staying with us, and I will go straight to the discussion of the day. So I want to ask, the discussion is basically on what kind of leadership, political leadership, that does Nigeria need for us to grow, to progress? So I will ask you, what kind of leadership does Nigeria need to grow and progress?
The kind of leadership that Nigeria needs to grow and progress is the kind of leadership that is honest and has integrity. Not the kind of integrity where one thing is said and another is acted upon. The kind of leadership that inspires others, and leadership that has to do with capacity of decision making, and also empathy is very critical. What we've had in Nigeria is a lot of leaders who do not empathize with the feelings of the people. And we also want a leadership that is capable of delegating and empowering. It's not just about you being a leader and putting around you those whom you can subjugate, those who are followers. A good leaders bring about leaders around him and empower people. So, ability to delegate and empower. Nigeria needs an innovative and creative leadership. I mean, this is the 21st century. We are already in the machine age. A lot of things are happening. This is the era where you learn, unlearn, relearn, and unlearn, because things are changing at a very fast stage. So you need a leader who is creative, who is innovative, leadership with confidence, of somebody who actually knows this is what they want. This is the vision they have for Nigeria, and they're ready to go with that. Not the ones that are thinking, what would people say? How would people look at things? You understand? I will also want the leadership that is passionate about Nigeria, the kind of person who sleeps Nigeria, thinking of how to take Nigeria to the top and be amongst the first 5 countries in this world.
But when we look at all the leaders we've had, they all seems to possess, they at least try to portray that they possess these qualities of being honest, that they are being very passionate about growing Nigeria with the promises that they make and everything, even in their campaign manifesto. But it seems like when they get into power, they become a different people entirely.
I think that's basically, Aisha has said a lot of what a leader should be. If you think about Nigeria, the kind of nation Nigeria is, her dynamics, the fact that this is a nation that's produced, excellent people that are resourcing other nations in the Western world, it doesn't make any sense that Nigeria can't get it right. So we have been a nation, of people who have been largely complacent, really, when it comes to good governance, choice of leaders. It's been like, I think it's like something's caught up on us. It's been like it doesn't really matter. It hasn't mattered for quite some time that when you look at Nigeria, when you think about Nigerians, when you think that Nigerians are resourcing nations, the superpowers, and then back home we can't seem to get it right in terms of choice of leadership, then there is a problem.
And I think that is where the problem is. That is what could be the problem of not finding the leaders that possess these qualities that you have mentioned.
I think just looking at the question you said, the qualities I have described, we have not seen those leaders. They don't even care. Right now, the Nigerian leader or the Nigerian leaders don't care. There's this disdainful act towards the people. The only time, when you talk about manifesto and all of that during the election, the only time they even seemingly seem to care is during that election. And the moment it's done, it's over. But you see, the thing is that we need to understand that leadership is two parts. There are two parts of leadership. There is a demand side of leadership and there's a supply side of leadership. Those who are elected, they supply governance. And those who elect, who vote, are supposed to demand for governance. And as long as there's a disparity in that, it's not balanced, there will always be a problem. And part like from what she has said, Nigeria is full of citizens who are docile, who don't even understand that it is in their right to occupy the office of the citizen, which is the highest office in the land. And they're supposed to make demands on their leaders. And that hasn't happened.
So let me take us back a little bit. Qualities of leadership. Look at it. We've had transactional leaders.
Absolutely.
You know, so everything hinges on leadership. Everything hinges on leadership. So what we need is transformational leadership. And, you know, like what Aisha was saying, we're in the 21st century, we're in the digital age. We have no business having, you know, leaders that can't even connect. If 70% of our population is under 35, I don't think that we should be led. You could be 70, it's not even an age thing. You could be 70 and yet, you know, in your outlook, in your worldview, in your ability to lead, you are like of that generation of the under 30s. But what has happened to us is that we have been led, like she rightfully said, by people that, you know, have created a great disconnect. I'm not even talking about corruption and all of that. I'm talking about the quality of the leader. That are you a leader that can inspire? Have you been able to put to the Nigerian people compelling vision? What's a Nigerian vision? You know, have you been able to bring us together that we have a national identity? You know, are you able to drive policies, our international, you know, policies and local? Have you been able, you know, to sell to us a compelling vision? Are you inspiring us? Are you creating influence? Are you creating values? You know, so the developmental, you know, indices of that, you know, you look at it, it's like we're in a bad, you know, situation. They are
looking
like,
at these leaders. These leaders don't get there, people elect them. So how do people get to elect these kind of leaders?
First of all, in a democracy, when there's no education, it's a disaster. So when you have a populace that are not educated, they don't know their rights, they don't know anything, they have been impoverished and people are using advantage of that. Poverty has been weaponized in Nigeria. So first of all, you deny the person every good aspect of life. The person has never been educated and does not even know what they can get. And when it's time for election, you give them 5,000 naira and they vote for you. So that's all we have today. So we cannot blame, you know, those who vote, especially those who are not educated and those who are in the rural area. The biggest problem we have, let me just mention this, we have a missing link. The elite, the so-called educated elite in Nigeria are the ones who are the problem of Nigeria. They sit back at home, they do not come out to vote, they do not take part in politics, and without good politics, we can't have good governance. They stay away, they think they are okay, life is good for them, and when it's time on the day of election, they are either watching Premier League or whatever it is, they are watching Bako, Telemundo and all of that, and then they forget that they have left the people who do not even understand the concept of education to be the ones to make the choice for them. And after that, everyone goes on complaining. And you know one thing that's most annoying, they're the best of people that you find them wherever they meet, they talk about everything that is wrong with Nigeria without doing anything about it.
So the lead, I agree totally with Aisha that the lead create a majority of our problems. And until this elite begin to connect with real issues, like she rightfully said, they're the biggest complainants. They're the ones on social media writing stuff. But unless the people understand the importance of electing the right people, it's always going to be the same. Unless the people even engage in voter education, unless the average Nigerian sees Nigeria as a project and becomes part, of her development, we're always going to have these talks, we're always going to have these programs, and we're not going to move forward. So the elite are a major.
And I think taking away from the elite, in addition to what you said about the elite, I think one of the problems that I personally have with the elite is that, as educated as they are the ones that some sit down to write articles with big vocabularies to validate and justify some of the wrong things that we see going on and trying to do that. So I think that's the problem that I have with the elite. But we're looking at, let's look at the history of Nigerian leadership, starting from when we had the independence and then the first president being Azikwe, and then moving on to 1963 where we had the prime minister and the president. Is there any leader at any point in this thread of time that you could say lived up to the billing that other Nigerian leaders could look up to?
For me personally, not really. I haven't. And even though a lot of people try to talk about our founding fathers and everything, there's so many things that were wrong there. And I think I still try to look back. I might be wrong, but this is my own personal thing. I haven't seen that leader that for me has really inspired and has looked upon Nigeria as that one country that all of us should identify with. I haven't. And if you understand that, even at that time, it wasn't about the best coming up. As long, it's like, let me just put it this way for us all to even basically understand. It's like you're starting a football match and you're not using your best 11. That's what we have always done in Nigeria, even right from the beginning after our independence. It has not always been putting the best foot forward, putting the right people forward. It has always been about ethnicity, who has the numbers and all of that, because there's this thing about everybody wanting to grab something. And part of the qualities of leadership is to be a good communicator and be accountable. Most of them have not even been able to sell to the people the vision. We don't even know whether they have any vision. And this has always been a problem. Just what you said the other time, I just want to make a reference to the statement you made before the question you asked, which is about the elite who sit down and condone the bad governance we have today, and some of them even defend it, is because they are waiting. They are either beneficiaries or waiting to be beneficiaries. Nigeria is today a corrupt system that a lot of people benefit from. And so they do not want the status quo to change. Because when the status quo changes and it is based on merit and your capacity and your ability, then a whole lot of people will find themselves out in the cold. Because right now, what goes in Nigeria is connection. Or either your, what do they call this thing they do, where they change quota system, or either catchment area and all of that. So that has been a kind of corruption that people have fed off, people have been able to thrive on, and so they don't want things to change. They want it to continue the way it is, so that's the only way they can benefit.
So if we're looking at this, that right from time that we haven't had a leader that inspires, a leader that we can look up to and say, this person has been doing well, will it be wrong to say Nigeria got independence too early from the British?
I think it's not even a question of getting independence too early from the British, because I'm in Ghana. I think it is how it was structured by the British. I think when there are agendas.
So you really think that the Nigerian leaders, politicians then already acquired this governmental knowledge enough for them to rule the country?
I do believe so, because a lot of them were, highly educated, really, solid people. But I think that the framework was flawed from beginning, and ethnicity. So if you spoke to the three majority tribes, people from there, you will find that, there are fanatics, there are people who believe in the leadership that they ended up there. They're Awais, they're the Zikis, they're people who believe that these founding fathers, were really great men, and they were inspirational. They did good for Nigeria. But if you look at it, if the foundation was properly laid, then we won't have the kind of problems that we have. I think from really the amalgamation, I think the way that the British structured, the whole, set up, I think it was flawed from beginning, and so we've had progressively, instead of things getting better, things are getting worse, but sometimes things have to get that bad before it gets good. It's just whether the generation that are alive now are ready to do something about it. So I can't really say that. Well, the worst of us have always led the best of us. That's what that's really what it is.
Yeah, that's what
you know what I mean. That's just really what it is. But from the beginning onset, I think that the project was really flawed, and what we're experiencing now is the effect of faulty foundation, I think.
And let me just add to what she's saying. I think for me, the question is, did the British hand over to the best that Nigeria had, or did they hand over to those that they thought they could control? So that is the question. If we look back in history, they were not ready. We had great leaders who would have carried this nation on, but they were not ready to give it to them. And even when you talk about the father, Nnamdi Azikiwe he was the president. The power really resided with the prime minister as of that time. A reluctant prime minister who didn't want to do it. But so it all comes to that, back to that foundation. Even the amalgamation of Nigeria itself, it's faulty. And for me personally, that's the reason why I've always said, what we have in the Constitution, where they say the Nigerian unity is I can't remember. Okay, now
indissoluble.
Yeah, indissoluble and all of that. So, and then people will say, "Oh, Nigeria must be one at any cost." And I said, no. We need to sit down as a nation and have a Nigerian conversation. Forget what happened in 1914. It's over 100 years ago. I shouldn't be suffering for what some people decided on my behalf. We need to sit down as a nation and ask ourselves, do we want to be together or we don't? People should be allowed to make a choice whether they want to stay with Nigeria or they want to move on. And I will always say to people, we have a generational hatred that has been handed on over time. And people are still working with that. You just simply hate somebody from another region, not because they have done anything to you. Some of you have never even met or related with people from that region, but they just passionately hate them because they were told to. We need to stop that. And then also, let me just finish. It's going with this thought. If we look at the UK, the Welsh doesn't really like the Scotsman, not neither the Irish or the English. They are always fighting, but they've been able to live together. We need to work something out like that.
We'll just come back, continue this conversation. We'll take a quick break. I think I want to take some coffee. Thank you for still staying with us, and this is the talk shop. The conversation continues. Before we went on that break, we left off from you, so we'll continue from you as well. Before going on that break, you have said a lot about the qualities of leadership that Nigeria needs and what they must do to move the Nigeria and the Nigerian project. But if looking at it, you have a school of good governance and politics. You have been an advocate for good governance, dating back to the days of Bring Back Our Guests, who should still have the lapel on your chest. Now, in the 2019 election, you supported the current president to come to power.
2019?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah, you supported this current president to come to power. You basically campaigned for him. Now, at that period, we had other presidential candidates, about 15 of them. We had these in Chekwa Sokore, Martin Novo, Oluremi Shonaya, and a host of others. These qualities you mentioned, did you find these qualities in President Muhammadu Buhari at the time you supported him to become president?
Okay. Also, first of all, a correction. I never, ever campaigned for President Muhammadu Buhari, then General Muhammadu Buhari. I was a strict advocate for good governance. And the only time when I would decide to vote for Muhammadu Buhari was in February 2015. And that's a lot of people forget. And thank God we have our social media accounts that talk about all we did. There was even a tweet I did to say Nigeria deserves better than Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari. And there was also another one that I said that the only reason why I was voting for Muhammadu Buhari was because Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was a colossal failure. That was how I put that tweet. You understand? And so in February 2015, what made me to decide and I even have a hashtag to say I have now decided, was the fact that the then President, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, postponed the election by 6 weeks. And in that 6 weeks, the military that hitherto had sat down and was being attacked by Boko Haram, they were doing nothing. You remember how our own military were chased by Boko Haram. We saw the video all the way, and they entered Cameroon. The same military that territories were being taken, they did nothing. In the 6 weeks that there was postponement of election, they started attacking, which was what we had been asking for all this while. In the meantime, before then, they all were repelling. And so I said to myself, so the commander-in-chief, who happened to be the president, then Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, knew he could do this, and yet he sat down for people to be killed and nothing was done. And so in February 2015, I decided, for me, it was, what do you call it now? I had to make a decision. They were both not good, but at that moment, this was a pragmatic decision I needed to make.
But
and I said, hold on.
Candidates?
They were, oh yeah, of course there were other candidates. Having other candidates, did they have these qualities? I didn't know most of them. And even this one, let's go back to 2011. 2011, we had 3 candidates I knew about, Ribadu, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and Muhammadu Buhari. I voted for Ribadu. In fact, Ribadu was the reason why I went to get my voter's card. Because the first time I voted was 1993. Then I was 19. I voted in 1993 for MKO Abiola. And then when it was cancelled, it shattered me. And so I refused to vote or collect any until when I saw Ribadu, and I felt in Noho Ribadu, I had the leader that I wanted. So I voted neither GEJ nor GMB in 2011. In 2015, with the killings that were going on, I had to be pragmatic. And one of the things we said, and I want people to understand that in 2015, there was a revolution in this country. People decided they wanted change. Because they wanted change, not in initials from GEJ to GMB, but change in the ways that governance was being done. And so I did that, and I voted, and I was very vocal. Never a campaigner, never
people were sold a lie.
So I was a very vocal campaigner, just like in 2019. The person that has all those qualities that is Dr. Obii Pax-Harry, and I campaigned for her, and I went to lots of states in Nigeria for her, and I stood for that. That's one campaign I have done for. I am still not partisan, and so for me, unapologetically, I voted for General Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, and I stand by those words, because a lot of people have forgotten that during Jonathan, killings were going on, territories were being taken, there was disdain from government. A lot of people, even on the day that 48 Potiskum boys were killed, the president then made a declaration for his presidency. All of these things went on. The National Assembly was shut down. As Bring Back Our Girls movement, we were attacked. There were a lot of atrocities going on. But you know one thing I want Nigerians to understand is the father. The fact that you vote for somebody doesn't make you a slave to that person.
Exactly.
I voted for you on election day, and it ends there. The moment you're done, I'm your boss. And because I'm a citizen, and I'm going to call you out when you don't do the right thing. People have this mentality that, if you vote for somebody, then you have to be petting him, you have to be, for what? I'm a citizen. And the office of the citizen is the highest office in the land. The office of the president is the highest political office. So we have.
But Apostle, you said earlier that in 2015 we were sold a lie. Did you also buy the
lie? I really think that Nigerians were sold a lie. I think that the whole change thing was, curated by very clever minds. And then because we choose not to be deep thinkers, we choose not to be people who assess a situation, we choose not to revert to history. I'm not partisan either. I think we were in a bad state. And when you're in a hurry to just choose whatever, just take whatever, even now, we're still in a whatever, kind of situation. Unless the very best of us, because if I don't say that, then, I may, take a risk of, being sounding like I'm partisan. I don't think Nigerians should be led by the quality of people that they have right now. Really, it is a disgrace in my humble opinion. So I think in 2015, Nigerians, people just curated a lie, and created, just this wind of change that, we can now, looking back, we can see that nothing's changed. But there can be change.
But I want to look So I'm looking at the fact that you said at the end of, after you vote, it ends there.
Yeah.
You become the boss.
Yeah.
How do citizens now get to hold these leaders accountable, rightly demand that good governance from them, demand the things that should be rightly be given to them. Because I'm looking at the fact that Showore, for example, was planning a revolution and protest to demand good governance, and he was arrested. Now, if people supposedly cannot go out to protest to government and demand, what other ways can they go through this?
You can protest, but you see, you also have to, no matter what, you have to be mature in the way that you communicate your displeasure. You have to still be law-abiding in the way you communicate your displeasure. You can't miss an opportunity by being overly militant. I personally, believe that individuals, like as citizens, have to hold government accountable. I believe in that. We don't have to come out like we don't have to communicate our displeasure in such a way that we miss opportunities. We don't have to be militant. We don't have to kind of create, some kind of drama just to be able to hold government accountable. We need to understand that we have our voices. If you vote people in, you must hold them accountable. If I was in the United Kingdom, I'd go to my MP, I'll take my protest, and he knows to take it up to Parliament. We have to understand that as Nigerians, we have citizens' right. We don't have to create any drama to do that. It's a free right of ours, given to us by God, given to us by, nationality, given to us by exercising that right, to bring people in. We have to know that we don't have to, we don't have to create any drama to be able to do that.
Not in its entirety.
Yeah.
I do agree with some parts of this thing. Where she talked about the being in UK. Being in UK, the system, it's different. So the person, your MP knows that you hold the 4 A's and you can call them back. But here in Nigeria, the person that is voted knows that you are helpless. You can't do anything. And so they behave the way they want to behave. In 2015, when people voted, what we're supposed, that change was it was a revolution that happened in 2015. For the first time, people were told you cannot change a sitting government. It happened. They now had a voice. But unfortunately, after voting, they all went back home and they did absolutely nothing.
Because Aisha, it was a masterminded thing.
No, not really. People were tired. So let me tell you, what came out was the impunity from government. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. People were being killed, and the government wasn't doing anything. Yeah. So people were tired of them. A lot of people, one thing, sometimes we try to bring in religion and tribe. The same people who voted for Jonathan in 2011 were displeased, and they didn't vote for him again in 2015. So beyond the mastermind and all of that, people were genuinely tired. And for me, that was a revolution. Absolutely. So, but the thing is that people didn't understand that voice that they had, they could use it. You understand? And as long as people do not understand that, they will go back, and those in power will continuously use that over. What is revolution? The thing is that, let me tell you something, there's already a revolution happening in Nigeria. What do we think the insurgency is all about? What do we think the banditry is all about? What do we think the kidnapping, the fact that you cannot... It is when people are revolting against a system that is not favoring them. But what we have is that these people, they are doing it in a selfish way for themselves. They don't care who they killed in the process. So that's why we have this insurgency and all of that. When Showore was talking, I didn't really follow in total what he was talking about. But I know for me, I've said it before and I'm going to repeat it here. Revolution is imminent in Nigeria.
And it's necessary.
It is either we have a bloody revolution or a bloodless revolution. It is in the elite, the educated elite, to come together and say we need to, because it means revolting against a system that it's not working. We need to change this system. Because if we don't, the man that is on the street, who is hungry, who is not educated, who does not even understand what governance is going to take control. And when his back is to the wall, he will come at everybody. And let me tell every one of us something. They are not going to go after those whom they are elected or those who give the governance. No. They're going to come after everybody. Whether you have a clean shirt or you have a job or you have a car, they see you as the enemy. Because they think that the only reason why they are where they are is because you have truncated their own life. And when they come, we are with them. We don't have any protection. They will come at us. Those whom we have elected, who have not given that good governance, you know what they will do? They're going to run away from this country. They will hop on their private jets. They will already have dual citizenship that they have bought, and they will leave us in this mess, and then we'll be killed one after the other. Are we ready for that? The question I ask, that every one of us must sit up and understand that in this Nigeria, being a victim is no longer a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that victim card is going all around. And I say to people at every opportunity I have, for them to realize that yesterday's victims were once survivors. Today's victims were yesterday's survivors. And tomorrow's victims will be today's survivors. Who is next?
Let me go back to, the example I gave. I do understand that the United Western world, there's structures, but Nigeria here, we elect local government chairmen, House of Rep members, senators, the same people that you have voted for, you watch them, you display affluence, you dote on them, you idolize them. Look, we have to become a people who understand why you vote people
But you
in.
don't understand something.
Yes.
We don't vote for them. They are selected and put
Exactly.
there. And you have no choice.
You're right. But having been there, holding leadership accountable, so long as they are there, because like you said, the revolution is imminent and it is needed. It is necessary. People have to find their voices to be able to hold these people accountable. Not every 4 years people come, or they're imposed on you, and you come out, then you're given a bag of rice, or not even a bag of rice, some cups of rice, then you vote them in, then they go back to this place, there is no development, there is nothing. No, it is very, very important. I don't know how this is going to happen.
But you know something, let me just cut you in. You're doing something already.
Yeah.
The school that you have, that's what it's
absolutely.
about. To teach people.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is that until we fix politics, we will not fix governance.
That is
until the good people who have the capacity to
Exactly.
be great leaders enter politics and no longer be shamed out of it or be afraid of it.
Yes.
We will not have qualities
You're
of leaders.
absolutely right.
Will you
Okay, if you
consider
have a
political office in any time?
Absolutely not. Because I am selfish and I am lazy. I love to be in my house. I don't want to be accountable to anybody. I'm here right now. I'm not. If I was a politician, I probably would ask if I was an appointee before.
But we need people like you in.
But you see, for me, I am good at one thing. And that's why.
Yeah.
Look, for me, the effort, and I say this because it's a selfish thing. The effort in the sacrifice it to take. For me, I feel, can I give it? It probably will take the whole of me. But I'm good at demanding.
Well, you already given it.
But
That's what I'm
you're
saying.
giving
But on my own terms.
Yeah. No,
So that's the thing.
But
And you
you're
should have been
natural
given
born.
it.
You're natural born. To be an activist means that you're a conscientious person. You're actually bothered about how society is run. You think that there should be social justice. It's just a natural thing. So you already have it. We need more people, especially the women folk. I mean, when I look at the upper chamber, I look at the quality of leaders we have, and I'm thinking, we really deserve better. I don't want to, sound like I'm knocking people, but we deserve better.
I'm not looking at we deserve better.
Absolutely.
Then on a final note, how do we get that better?
Well, like Aisha said, I personally feel that people should courageously look at Nigeria, feel empathy, understand, assess Nigeria. Is this the kind of country you want? And volunteer, offer themselves, and then, places like where we began to run, we're starting from age 18, training people, say 20-year vision, begin to teach leadership, begin to teach, values and ethics. We have to go back to it. We're suffering from values erosion.
You agree with all of this?
Absolutely, I agree with everything that she has said, and I just need people to understand that, look, they have the office of the citizen, and every one of us must occupy it. You cannot vote leaders and go home to sleep. It's like employing somebody and then you don't do anything, you go home to sleep. Things will work.
All right. I have to say thank you very much. We've come to the end of our time today, and thank you very much for honoring my invitation to come around.
Thank you for having us.
And then, sadly, but we've come to the end of Talk Shop today. But Talk Shop doesn't end. We'll be back same time next time.